The Dominion salvage cutter drifted through the fractured debris field like a surgical tool gliding over open flesh. Its hull shimmered with layered shielding, each plate inscribed with the geometric patterns of a civilization that believed order itself was a virtue. Inside, Vorith engineers clustered around a holographic projection of the object cautiously tethered to their ship, a derelict human frigate, cracked down the center as if something inside had tried to escape. Primitive hull alloys, one engineer muttered, lenses adjusting over multifaceted eyes. But the interior! Strategos, you must see this. High Strategos Veilthur stepped forward, his long frame casting a sharp silhouette against the glowing display. His presence silenced the room. Dominion officers rarely showed emotion, but curiosity flickered beneath his composed facade as the hologram rotated, exposing torn compartments and half-melted supports. Explain, Veilthur ordered. Every section is modified, the engineer replied. No symmetry, no standardization. Weapon mountings appear throughout the ship. Not a single space is designed for habitation. It's a testbed. Testbed? Veilthur's tone sharpened. For weapons, Strategos. Many weapons. More scans appeared, railgun barrels bolted into place with industrial clamps, missile racks mounted where cargo should have been, reactors jury-rigged with external coolant loops. A Dominion vessel would never leave dry dock in such a state. Instability was forbidden. Disorder was a hazard. To encounter a vessel intentionally built around disorder unsettled the engineers. Another officer enlarged a section of the hologram displaying several cylindrical devices. Nuclear warheads. Extremely high output. Their shielding is negligent. Veilthur's eyes narrowed. Negligent, or deliberate? Silence stretched as the officers exchanged uneasy glances. The Dominion hadn't encountered a civilization reckless enough to experiment on this scale in millennia. The idea that humans casually deployed unstable weapons defied logic. But the evidence floated before them, undeniable. Send everything to the Council, Veilthur commanded. And prepare a long-range reconnaissance sweep toward the origin world. He watched the derelict spin slowly, cables trailing like the veins of some engineered beast. A species that built ships like this was either catastrophically careless or profoundly dangerous. The Dominion could not afford to assume the former. Hundreds of light years away, Commander Rhea Calder rubbed tired eyes as she studied the data stream shimmering across her console. The Rimfront station hummed around her, machinery clattering in its perpetual cycle of half-maintenance, half-improvisation. The outpost had been assembled from repurposed habitat modules and surplus research platforms, a patchwork of practicality held together by ingenuity. Lieutenant Mara Vance approached, expression tense. You need to see this. We picked up anomalous transmissions near Sector 11. Rhea straightened. Source? No match in human databases. Encryption formats unlike anything we've seen. The holographic display shifted, projecting strands of alien signals winding through the void. Complex, refined, and consistent, nothing like the chaotic bursts of natural radio noise. Rhea leaned in. Someone's mapping the Rimfront. That's what we thought. But the pattern suggests coordinated sweeps, like they're assessing weaknesses. Rhea tapped a sequence of commands, analyzing power distribution and timing intervals. This isn't random. These are military-grade scans. The lieutenant hesitated. Do we escalate? Rhea paused. She'd spent years trying to convince Earth Command that humanity needed better early warning systems, stronger starfront defenses, and unified training protocols. Budgets and politics had always slowed progress. Now, the first true sign of extraterrestrial intelligence, and not the kind humanity had fantasized about, had arrived in the most disturbing format possible: covert surveillance. Forward everything to Earth defense, Rhea said. Mark it urgent. They'll need the full analysis before they dismiss this as sensor drift. Mara allowed a faint smile. You think they'll listen this time? They'll have to. Hours later, alarms pulsed through the station. Rhea reached the command deck to find personnel scrambling over consoles. The main view screen lit up with a distress beacon. Exploration corvette Horizon Breaker just vanished from long-range comms, a technician reported. We received a final burst, fragmented, but enough. Rhea listened as the fragment repeated, a crackle of static, followed by a violent energy surge and the unmistakable distortion of a ship tearing apart. Identify the source, she said. We tracked the last known coordinates. The technician brought up the sector map. There was something there, briefly. Metallic signature not human. Energy output matched the earlier scans. Rhea exhaled slowly. Confirm relay. Mark this as hostile action. The technician swallowed. Commander, if this is really another species. No assumptions, Rhea cut in. We deal with what we know. And what we know is that someone out here is attacking human ships. Her pulse steadied as she took command. Panic wouldn't help anyone. But inside, pieces were weaving together with unsettling clarity, the reconnaissance sweeps, the disappearance, the energy signatures. Someone was studying humanity, and testing their boundaries. 2 days later, a team of engineers and analysts crowded into Rhea's briefing room as new findings appeared on the central display. They had successfully intercepted and decoded fragments from an unknown drone destroyed near a mining convo. The translation was rough, but enough context emerged to understand the intent. A phrase rendered in halting English filled the screen. Primary weapons forge, origin species. Threat index, critical. Mara spoke first. Weapons forge? What is that supposed to mean? They think Earth builds weapons? Another analyst asked. Rhea stared at the words, a cold certainty settling in her chest. Whoever these beings were, they had misinterpreted something, badly. The derelict drifting near the Rimfront, the scattered wreckage of old test vessels, the rugged improvisation common in human engineering. Taken out of context, it might look like purposeful design. A single misunderstanding could ignite a war. We need answers, Rhea said. And we need them before whoever sent this decides Earth is their next target. She looked around the room, meeting each anxious gaze. Fear was natural, paralysis was not. Humanity had stumbled into an alien narrative they did not understand, and now their survival hinged on uncovering why another empire saw Earth not as a home, but as a factory producing nightmares. Prepare a full threat dossier, Rhea ordered. We're walking blind, and that ends now. Outside, the vast dark stretched silent and unknowable. Somewhere in that silence, an empire had already reached a conclusion about humanity. And their conclusion was wrong. Earth Command's secure chamber sat deep beneath the Andes, a former research vault transformed into the nerve center of planetary defense. Thick concrete and alloy layers muffled every vibration, leaving the room unnaturally still as generals, ministers, and specialists filed in. They eyed the projection suspended over the central table, the decoded alien fragment labeling Eartha. Primary weapons forge. Rhea stood at the front, shoulders squared. She'd been summoned within hours of sending her preliminary report. Despite the urgency, the chamber buzzed with disjointed debate. General Imani gestured at the projection. We have one fragment, Commander Calder. Hardly grounds to escalate planetary defense. Rhea kept her tone level. General, it isn't only the fragment. We have autonomous scans near the Rimfront, a missing corvette, hostile interceptors, and an alien drone destroyed near a civilian convo. The pattern isn't ambiguous. A minister folded his arms. And your interpretation is that these unknowns believe Earth is, what, a weapons factory? The phrasing sounded absurd, but the evidence forced it into reality. Rhea tapped her console. New images appeared, schematics of the derelict frigate's modifications, chaotic clusters of weapon mounts, exposed experimental systems. Imagine you're observing humanity from a distance, she said. You find ships that look like this. You intercept our old test modules. You encounter improvised upgrades we've made out of necessity. What would you conclude? Silence settled as officials absorbed the visuals. General Imani exhaled, slow and heavy. You're saying they misread our engineering? They're not just misreading, Rhea replied. They're afraid of it. A second projection replaced the first, alien data logs compiled from the drone. Scattered entries detailed human energy yields, reactor limits, and weapons tests conducted across decades. The logs used one recurring classification: Instability Index, Extreme. Rhea pointed at it. Whoever these aliens are, they prioritize stability. They evaluate technology based on risk tolerances. Our systems, dense, rugged, occasionally volatile, look deliberate to them. We appear reckless by design. Murmurs rippled through the room. Earth had never considered how their improvisation might be seen through an alien lens. The minister leaned forward. What's their objective? Rhea switched projections. Alien fleet positions appeared, faint distortions carved into space by advanced sensor sweeps. These are reconnaissance patterns. Their coverage has doubled every 12 hours. They're preparing something. Imani stiffened. A preemptive strike. Or containment, Rhea said. But neither option ends well for us. The chamber grew taut with unease. No one had imagined humanity's first contact would begin with an existential misunderstanding. Far across the stars, in the Dominion's capital nexus, High Strategos Veilthor stood before the projection hall. The air vibrated with the resonance of crystalline conduits, channeling centuries of archived knowledge. Dominion officers watched as Veilthor displayed the human vessel scans recovered by the salvage cutter. The derelict frigate rotated slowly, exposing its chaotic interior. Dominion architects recoiled at the asymmetry, the lack of safety provisions, and the aggressive weapon integration. Veilthor addressed the council. The primitive species from the Blue Star system demonstrates disturbing patterns. Their engineering prioritizes destructive potential above stability. Their propulsion experiments approach catastrophic threshold without regulation. Their warheads contain yields outlawed across our empire. One counselor tilted her head. Could this be mere negligence? Negligence repeated consistently becomes doctrine, Veilthor replied. Across every captured sample, their signature remains unchanged, unstable, improvised, unrestricted. He enlarged data from the zero-point Lance engine test logs. Explosive signatures spiked far beyond Dominion standards. These readings suggest experimentation with zero-point manipulation. A reckless move. Were their world to pursue such technology unchecked, the consequences would be irreversible. The council fell quiet. Even they understood the danger of uncontrolled zero-point fields. Veilthor continued, voice steady. We must assume Earth is not a conventional civilization but a weapons-origin world. Their instability is not incompetence, it is a production philosophy. If left uncontained, they will destabilize multiple sectors. A counselor asked. Your recommendation? A fleet, Veilthor said. We subdue them before their creations proliferate. The council deliberated briefly, then consented. The expansionary fleet mobilized. Back on Earth, Rhea's analysts worked through the night. By morning, they had extracted more from the alien drone's memory lattice. The decoded portion appeared in the briefing room as Rhea and her team gathered around. Lieutenant Mara read aloud. Designation: Human origin weapon species. Behavioral pattern: unpredictable. Technology: unsafe. Risk projection: critical escalation expected. Rhea frowned. They don't see us as hostile. They see us as inherently hazardous. Another analyst highlighted a section. Here, weapon evolution cycle accelerating. They think our technology grows dangerously faster than theirs. Rhea felt the weight of the misinterpretation settling into something far more ominous. They're preparing for what they believe is an inevitable escalation. And they'll strike first to prevent it, Mara said quietly. A communications officer hurried into the room. Commander, we intercepted new alien transmissions. They're conducting another sweep, closer than before. Rhea stepped to the nearest console. The scan pattern displayed a clear shift. The aliens were probing defensive weak points, mapping transit routes, measuring signal delays. Mara whispered, That's invasion prep. No one disagreed. Rhea took a long breath. The situation had transformed from alarming to immediate. Earth wasn't dealing with curiosity or diplomacy. They were dealing with strategic fear. "Prepare a tactical overview," Rhea said. "I want every vulnerability identified." "Commander," an analyst said, "we still don't know what triggered this theory about Earth." Rhea considered it. Human scrap drifting near the Rimfront. Old weapons tests. The culture of improvisation that shaped every starship, every reactor, every upgrade. Humans innovated with urgency, not precision. To another species, that might look monstrous. "Someone out there misread who we are," Rhea said. "And they built their entire judgment on that mistake. If we don't correct it fast, they'll act on it." The officer monitoring external feeds stiffened. "Commander, new contact." "Not a scan. A craft." Rhea leaned close. "Type?" "Small, armored, high-energy output. It entered our perimeter on a direct vector. Prepare intercept teams." The craft streaked into local space, weaving unpredictably before a salvo of automated defense turrets disabled it. The vessel spiraled toward a controlled crash near the outpost perimeter. Rhea and Mara reached the landing site as security units formed a perimeter around the smoldering wreck. Shattered alloy plates revealed intricate hexagonal layering unlike anything human-made. Mara pointed. "Commander, there's movement." A humanoid figure pushed through the wreckage, tall, angular, armored in overlapping plates. Its breathing was ragged, but it didn't attempt to flee. Rhea raised her hand. "Hold fire. It's surrendering." The captured Dominion scout sat in a reinforced chamber, its armor removed and placed on the table beside it. The creature's angular limbs and segmented plates lent a natural air of command, yet its posture told a different story, wary, fatigued, and struggling to understand the world it had fallen into. The translator band affixed to its throat flickered as it studied Rhea from across the table. "You invaded our perimeter," Rhea began, voice steady. "If you were acting under orders, we need to know what those orders were." The alien's gaze drifted toward the window overlooking the barren landing pads. "I came to warn you," it said. The translator rendered its tone as metallic, but the tension underneath felt unmistakably real. "Your world is targeted. Our fleet moves to secure it." "Secure?" Lieutenant Mara repeated from behind Rhea. "That sounds generous after what happened to the Horizon Breaker." The alien flinched. "Your vessel approached restricted space. Engagement was protocol." Rhea leaned forward. "We didn't know your restrictions. You didn't attempt communication. You give weapons no warning," the scout replied sharply. "You build unpredictability into your constructs, your engines, your defenses. Your species cannot be allowed." Rhea raised a hand. "Explain the classification. Why do you call Earth a weapon forge?" The scout hesitated. "Your technologies are unstable. They evolve too quickly. Your machines do not follow structural logic. Every captured artifact suggests forced innovation without regard for collapse thresholds." Mara whispered. "They think we do this on purpose." Rhea kept her focus on the prisoner. "You believe our engineering philosophy is deliberate?" "Yes," the alien said. "Only a weapons-origin civilization would tolerate such volatility." Rhea sat back, absorbing the implications. What humanity viewed as adaptability, patchwork ships surviving hostile environments, improvised upgrades in distant colonies, engineering driven by necessity, looked to these aliens like deliberate evidence of a species obsessed with escalation. Before she could answer, the chamber door slid open. A tactical officer entered with a tablet. "Commander, you need to see this." Rhea rose. "Stay with him," she told Mara. "Don't provoke anything." The tactical deck was a storm of controlled urgency. Operators tracked multiple incoming Dominion signatures across the Rimfront, their paths forming a net around human space. Not yet an attack, but unmistakably a preparation phase. Rhea approached the main console. "Status. Recon formations expanding," an officer replied. Their sweep pattern shifted. They're mapping transit lanes and defense timings. It's systematic. Rhea zoomed in on the data. The Dominion fleet wasn't probing randomly. They were establishing corridors, refining approach vectors, calculating Earth's likely responses. It was the pacing of a military machine preparing for a full offensive. Mara arrived moments later. Her face said everything before she spoke. He wasn't exaggerating. They're coming. Ria's mind sharpened. Then we don't wait to be cornered. We fortify the Rimfront. She issued orders with swift precision. Activate the orbital arrays. Redirect heavy haulers for shield reinforcement. Begin emergency production at all outposts. And alert the Coalition Council. We're moving to Unified Defense Protocol. The officer hesitated. Protocol hasn't been used. Doesn't matter, Ria said. We need unity or we won't survive the opening salvo. Within hours, Earth's fractured leadership convened again, this time with alarm replacing skepticism. Ria briefed them on the fleet mobilization. This is not reconnaissance, she said. This is staging. If we don't act now, their opening strike will cripple every frontier we have. A minister leaned forward. What are you proposing? Ingenuity, Ria replied. Our advantage is unpredictability. Their doctrine relies on stability. We weaponize that difference. General Imani raised an eyebrow. Meaning? Ria pulled up tactical blueprints. Mining lasers modified for orbital defense. Asteroid slings using magnetic tethers. EMP slugs built from repurposed jump cores. Systems we can assemble fast. One council member frowned. Those designs aren't battlefield tested. They don't have to be, Ria said. They only need to confuse and destabilize a doctrine that can't adapt to chaos. Silence lingered, then Imani nodded. Do it. Earth's factories, shipyards, and colonies began converting their industrial lines. Civilian engineers joined military teams. The urgency galvanized them. They understood humanity's survival depended on creativity, not tradition. 3 days later, the Dominion fleet advanced toward the Seline Gate, a narrow convergence where human patrol routes overlapped. Ria's battle group took position in a staggered formation around the asteroid field. Every ship bore improvised upgrades, many assembled just hours earlier. Status? Ria asked. All systems active, Mara replied. Mag tethers calibrated. EMP slugs armed. Ria inhaled, centering herself. On my mark. As Dominion vessels emerged from the fold, their formation precise and unwavering, Ria felt the magnitude of the moment. This was humanity's first true battle against an extraterrestrial empire, and the enemy approached with the certainty that they faced a world built for war. Fire slings, Ria commanded. The magnetic tethers snapped, hurling asteroids at calculated vectors. Dominion ships reacted instantly, repositioning with rigid discipline. The first impact struck shields, sending cascades of energy across their hulls. Their formations wavered, but not enough. EMP slugs, release! Dozens of compact torpedoes shot forward, detonation fields blooming across the Dominion line. Their shields destabilized under the unpredictable pulses. Several vessels flickered out of coordination, their rigid control networks failing to compensate. Ria seized the opening. All ships, advance! Human ships surged, weapons blazing. The battle erupted into furious exchanges, precise Dominion beams slicing across the void while human rail guns thundered improvised payloads. A Dominion cruiser fractured under an asteroid impact, its hull folding like glass. Another fell to a railgun volley that pierced its weakened shields. On the command deck, data rushed across Ria's displays. Sweat beaded at her temple, but her voice stayed calm. Shift formation. Exploit node collapse at Vector 2. Already adjusting, Mara said. The Dominion attempted to regroup, yet their doctrine faltered against uncontrolled variables. Each human improvisation disrupted their calculations, destabilizing their synchronized movement. Still, the cost was steep. Human vessels took heavy hits, one corvette breaking apart after a focused Dominion barrage. Ria pressed on. Keep pressure, don't let them reset formation. Minutes stretched like hours. Finally, Dominion ships began to retreat, their formations unraveling. The Seline Gate fell quiet. Cheers rippled through the command deck, exhausted, disbelieving, triumphant. Mara turned to Rhea. We actually held them. Rhea nodded, breathing unsteady. We proved they're not invincible. But they'll return with something worse. Her communicator buzzed. A secure alert. She opened it, and froze. Dominion Command signatures indicated a superweapon activation across distant sectors. The energy readings were immense. Mara saw the change in her expression. What now? Rhea stared at the display, the truth settling like ice. The Rimfront command deck bathed in dim red light as urgent alerts cascaded across every screen. Rhea stood motionless for a second, absorbing the Dominion transmission. A superweapon, massive, distant, accelerating toward operational capacity. It wasn't a show of strength. It was preparation for annihilation. Lieutenant Mara steadied her voice. Energy output confirms it. Whatever they're powering, it's planetary scale. Rhea closed her eyes briefly. They intend to remove the risk entirely. No panic. Only resolve. Call Earth Command, she ordered. We're enacting a strike plan. The Coalition's Emergency Council appeared on split screens, their faces strained. Rhea projected the superweapons layout, assembled from intercepted schematics and readings extracted from the captured Dominion Scouts armor core. It's called the Starlance Array, Rhea said. A directed energy system capable of system-level sterilization. Once fully charged, we cannot stop it from range. A minister asked. What do you propose? Direct infiltration, Rhea replied. We insert a strike team, sabotage its core, and collapse the field lattice before activation. General Imani looked skeptical. You're asking for a miracle. Rhea met his gaze. No. I'm asking for a team willing to use the same unpredictability our enemy fears. Their systems reject instability. We introduce enough, the entire weapon fails. Mara added. We've retrofit a stealth drop vessel using the Scout's own armor plating. It bends sensor arrays just enough to mimic Dominion's signal drift. A few council members hesitated, but none objected. The Dominion superweapon changed everything. Rhea ended the briefing with a single line. If they think Earth builds chaos, then chaos is what will save us. Hours later, the strike vessel launched from an orbital platform, disappearing into fold space with a hum that vibrated in Rhea's bones. She sat strapped into the cockpit, Mara beside her, 3 specialists behind them. The ship's interior rattled in ways that would terrify anyone accustomed to Dominion symmetry, but it held. As fold space unfolded into starlit vastness, the Starlance Array came into view, a colossal ring structure suspended between 3 gravitational anchors. It radiated cold geometric precision, every segment perfectly aligned, pulsing with rhythmic blue energy. Mara whispered, That's enormous. Rhea studied its rotation. Precision is its weakness. One fracture, and the entire cycle collapses. She maneuvered the vessel toward a maintenance vent, the improvised cloaking pattern flickering faintly over the hull. Dominion patrols glided past, unaware. Stealth fields holding, Mara said. Barely. Barely is enough, Rhea replied. They slipped inside. The interior corridors of the array felt like stepping into the heart of an ancient cathedral shaped by mathematics. Light flowed through patterned conduits. Every surface hummed with controlled energy. Human footsteps broke the harmony, echoing sharply. Rhea signaled. We move fast. Their system cores are at the central alignment node. Once we destabilize it, we run. They ascended a narrow maintenance column. The deeper they went, the louder the array's pulse became, like the heartbeat of a dormant giant preparing to wake. Turning a corner, they froze. A tall Dominion figure stood alone on the platform ahead, Veilthur. His armor gleamed with command insignia, his posture rigid yet composed. He studied them in silence, as though he had expected their arrival. Rhea stepped forward, weapon lowered. You're powering a planetary kill weapon. You leave us no choice. Veilthur's translator vibrated with controlled fury. Your world creates weapons by accident. That makes you unpredictable. Unpredictability threatens every sector under Dominion care. We act to preserve order. Ria's jaw tightened. We don't create chaos. We survive with what we can build. You mistook necessity for aggression. Vaelthur's mandibles shifted. Your vessels are unstable. Your energy tests collapse into violent flux. How is this not deliberate? Because survival taught us to improvise, Ria said. We innovate because we must. Our designs aren't declarations of war. They're proof we endured challenges you never faced. Vaelthur studied her expression, something like doubt flickering behind his polished composure. If you are not a weapon species, why unleash such volatile constructs upon the void? Ria answered softly. Because when the universe hits us hard, we hit back harder. That's not malice. That's resilience. For a moment, the chamber felt still. Then Vaelthur exhaled sharply. Resilience or not, he said, your instability cannot coexist with order. The array must fire. Ria lifted her rifle. Then we stop it. Vaelthur moved first. He lunged with incredible speed, forcing Ria backward as sparks burst from her parried strike. Mara fired, forcing Vaelthur to retreat behind a shield burst. Ria rolled, fired twice, then sprinted toward the central core as Dominion reinforcements converged. The strike team formed a defensive line behind her. Mara shouted, We'll hold them! Just buy me time! Ria called back. She reached the core alignment platform, an enormous prism of swirling blue energy suspended between rotating rings. Dominion engineering at its most disciplined. Perfect. Predictable. Fragile. Ria pulled a compact device from her belt, an improvised destabilizer built from Dominion tech fused with a human jump core oscillator. The scout had called it reckless. Ria called it a chance. Alarms blared. Energy surged. Vaelthur roared. Stop! Ria slammed the destabilizer into the core's anchor. The sound was indescribable, a harmonic fracture, a discord ripping through perfectly tuned machinery. The array shuddered. Rings slipped out of alignment. Energy bled wildly across conduits. Mara yelled over comms. The lattice is collapsing! Fall back! Ria shouted. Explosions rippled through the chamber as Dominion soldiers scrambled to contain the cascade. Vaelthur staggered, stunned by the system's failure. Ria reached the corridor before he regained his stance. He didn't pursue. His voice carried through the failing hall. You have doomed us all! Ria shouted back. No. I saved my world. You'll survive this. Learn from it. The walkway collapsed behind her as she sprinted toward the extraction bay. Mara and the remaining team boarded the vessel, engines booting as the array tore itself apart. Go! Ria yelled. They blasted free just as the Starlance array erupted into a spiral of blue-white light, collapsing into gravitational shrapnel. The superweapon died in silence, its perfect order undone by a spark of human ingenuity. Back in Earth orbit, the Dominion fleet halted mid-advance. The destruction of their superweapons stunned their hierarchy. Without its precision, the invasion plan unraveled. Their fleets began withdrawing, not defeated, but shaken. Ria watched the retreat from the observation deck of her carrier. Mara stood beside her, arms crossed. They'll think twice before misreading us again, Mara said. Maybe, Ria replied. But now they know what we do when cornered. Survive? Mara asked. Ria shook her head. Adapt. And adapt fast. She looked out at the stars. The misunderstanding had nearly ended humanity, but it also revealed something undeniable. When pushed against the edge, humans didn't crumble. They forged back.